Local Music Monday. We're back, baby. How are you? I hope you enjoyed your last month that we haven't seen you. I know we have. Justin, it's good to see you, bud.
It's good to see you, too. I'm a little rusty. I'm sorry it's been a little while.
I'm a little rusty, too, and nothing seems like it's working on this computer today, so bear with me if you could. Before we get into anything, much love to the sponsors. If not for the sponsors, this podcast isn't possible, so thank you so much to EJA Moving Service. When you're ready to move and relocate, hit up Eddie and his crew at 315-335-0516. There's no task they can't handle. They'll move you to Japan. They'll move you to Syracuse. They'll move you to California, wherever the hell you need to go. I think at one point we established they have an invisible bridge that they could get you overseas, right?
Oh, yeah, for sure.
You'll drive their truck right over the Atlantic Ocean. Go to EJAMoving.com and tell them Uncle Z sent you. Shout out to Joey's at 307. It's 307 Mohawk Street. You want a good meal today, give them a call, 315-864-3527, or check them out at 315eats.com. Thank you to Utica Coffee. Today we're jacked up on Sumatra. I think
it's amazing.
This is a good one. I like this one a lot, actually. It's very tasty.
I better hide this.
Very flavorful. You're fine. Go to wakethehellup.com. Shout out to Saranac, Ballsy, ballwash.com. Use promo code members only for 15% discount.
I'm out.
Also, we got to give a shout out to our boy Chillin' with Rick.
What's up, Chillin'?
Or is it just Chillin' with Rick? Not
Chillin' with Rick.
He dropped the.
Yeah, I'm out of my ball shit, too.
You're out of your ball shit?
I'm really pissed off about it.
Okay. All right.
I'm just letting them know if they're watching right now.
I would give you mine, but I've already used it.
Yeah, no, I'm good on that.
You know what? You're nuts on
I'm trying to get my wife to honestly, because it's like on sale right now for $15. Trying to get my wife. Now think about this: to let me buy balm for my balls for $15.
See, you're
it's like
so
pulling
used to
teeth.
it. Yeah, but then you get a discount by using the promo code.
Ah, true.
You know, so it'll probably cost you $12.
$12. Yeah, I got to tell her that now.
She might go for that.
She might go for that. Yo.
Hey, does she like the way they smell now?
No, not at the moment. Neither do I, though.
I mean, when you use the balm, pal.
Ball balm.
Oh, man. Coming up on
See what I mean? You can say whatever you want.
Okay. I'm catching on quick.
These are the sponsors that you got to give love to the sponsors, especially when it comes to male hygiene, if you will.
Yeah.
You know, we support our genitalia around here. Oh, man, we're off to a great start.
Yeah.
Coming up on April 30th. There it is. We put it up on the screen. Play It Forward is going on at Twin Ponds. It's in memory of Sal Alberico Sr. and Sal Alberico Jr. And in the house with us today, we've got Joe Alberico. Good to see you. Mr. Al Galimi in the house with us. We're going to tell a lot of old stories, talk about Play It Forward and stuff. The first question I have, though, if you come from a long line of saxophonists, how did you start playing drums? What inspired you to play the drums?
Well, my grandfather was a percussionist.
Oh, yeah?
Yep. He played drums, and he also played xylophone. And my Uncle Ray was a great drummer and a vocalist. So as a real young child, I was exposed to that, and I got the interest to want to play drums. Mm-hmm. Then, of course, my dad said, well, if you want to do that, you have to do it the right way.
Of course.
So he made me go to Forgetta's Music with Babe Costello to learn how to read. And then later on, I ended up doing some jobs with my dad, which I didn't care for.
No.
No, because I wanted
rock and roll.
Girls didn't want to listen to that jazz stuff. They wanted
rock and roll.
The Beatles just came out, so why would I want to do that and no girls or go rock out and have all the girls?
Right.
So that's basically.
Well, I did the same thing with my brother, Frank, and my brother played with your Uncle Ray.
Yeah.
And consequently, I did as well. I played bass with your Uncle Ray and my older brother.
Wow.
So that's how we started. Sal and I both at a young age. I'm 5 years older than my brother. Mm-hmm. And we had to do the whole thing. We had to go to music lessons. And Anthony Brindisi, mutual friends, grew up in my home. We were together since the third grade.
The soul injection, Anthony Brindisi, not the congressman.
No.
All right, let's get that clear.
So my brother would get on the handlebars of Anthony's bike, and Anthony would ride him down to Forgetta's Music on Bleecker Street for his lessons.
Wow.
That's how far back we're going.
Was your father militant when it comes to like learning? And
my dad was very hard to work with.
Yeah, was he?
He was a perfectionist. He again, the getting on time. I had to be on a job 2 hours before, so my dad wasn't stressing. Mm-hmm. That was his thing. He had.
I've done a lot of things before. I've played in church, like you said. You see me. I've done weddings. I played with his father's band a number of times. The first time I played, they needed a bass player, and I said, I don't read. He said, you can read the chord changes. I was terrified. I just kept watching Sal, and I was terrified. Finally, he turned around and he said, you can swing. I went, okay, but I was still, I was just sticking with the drummer and looking at those chords and making sure I wasn't playing any wrong notes.
Yeah.
Just laying down a 4 for the jazz feel.
Right. He was tough.
Wow,
He was tough to.
I bet you could still feel that anxiety right now too. Like,
yes.
from that.
Well, I'm talking about
While you're talking about it, yeah. I've been there, absolutely.
And then I decided that that kind of music wasn't for me because the young people my age were. So the bands that were around at that point, as we got a little older, were Eric and the Chessmen, who the first time I saw Slivers. Now, I started venturing in the drums, but when I saw Slivers play, that concreted the deal. I had to be a drummer. He was like...
Precision.
Absolutely, and he was a showman. He had his cymbals like way up here, and he would twirl his sticks and hit the cymbals from underneath. And
Oh, wow.
it's like, oh, my God, this guy's bigger than the All Outdoors. And then Maurice was the other influence. I think Mo, more than anything, I saw him play first in the Red Band. My grandmother or great-grandmother was the president of St. Rosalie Society. So all the feast, they would do this prayer thing on my front porch. And then Mo would be there playing with the Red Band, and when I saw him, he was real young. I said, I got to do it like this kid's doing it.
Yeah, I think Mo started before he was 13 with the Red Band.
Now you mean Maurice Petrello.
Yes,
Okay.
Maurice Petrello.
Mo Petrello. So, and I say this to people, but the young kids today are so far advanced, and the reason I think is they have so many options of listening to people. They got YouTube. We had nothing but 2/4 rock and roll. We had the Beatles and the Rolling Stones.
And a record player.
Right.
Yeah.
And until John Bottom, everything was straight 2/4, bang it out, get in a groove, and life is good. So we didn't have options to go look online and get a lesson.
Right.
So that
Right.
it's
And if you wanted to get a lesson down the street from your music teacher, you had to convince him to learn a rock song or to learn, you know what I mean? Because they didn't want to teach that stuff.
They don't want
They
to
only
do that.
wanted to work out of the
Right.
book.
Right.
That's why I didn't take guitar lessons either, because it was just it was all tablature and trying to learn.
Now there's books for jazz, riffs, and all that stuff.
Yeah.
Back then, when we wanted to learn a jazz, listen to the record.
Got to listen to the record. That's all I did. Yeah, I listened to the record. Yeah.
So then again, my brother, the reading thing just wasn't his thing.
No.
He just didn't care for it. And he was such a gifted player, and in a way, I'm glad he didn't. And this might sound crazy, but I think it would have changed who he became if he started to read. I know that might not, it sounds a little weird, but I think if he really started to do the reading and doing charts, he might have went a different direction, so to speak.
I think it would have affected his feel too.
Yes.
Because he'd be focused so much on that reading aspect.
Yes,
That it would have
exactly.
taken away from his personality.
So I know that sounds a little strange, but that's my feeling. So in a way, I'm glad he didn't get into that. So I did, and matter of fact, I did a job at Al and I and Al's brother Eugene. We did a show for Fabian. So they sent us out the music scores 2 weeks before, and I haven't read in years.
Where was that gig?
It was at the casino.
At the casino in the 90s.
Okay.
Yeah.
I did a number of them.
Yes.
Gotcha.
Oh, very
Right.
cool.
So Al and Yodge spent time with me to go over the music scores because I haven't read in years. So we get to the job, and what you do is you do a rehearsal, and then you do a matinee, and then you do an evening show. So we get there, and the music director said, listen, all the music I sent you 2 weeks ago, disregard that. We're going to do something different.
Oh, and yes, and then he hands you brand new sheets of music.
Talk about anxiety
Luckily,
there.
oh yeah. So I raised my hand and I said, listen, I'm not a really great sight reader. I need to spend. He goes, don't worry about
You'll
it.
be
He said,
fine.
you follow
You'll
me.
be fine.
You'll be.
You played fine because
Right.
it was all
But I was like,
simple rock and roll. I mean, it was
Yeah.
Fabian.
Yeah.
So we just laid it down, and the music directors then were pretty cool, and then they would all let us solo. They would all
Right.
say feature these are the greatest musicians in New York State. We found, they
Wow,
did
yeah.
that kind of a thing.
and it was,
That's awesome.
it was Scott Rutledge,
Yep.
Monk Rowe.
Oh wow.
I mean,
They
we
weren't
had
kidding.
the whole
The All-Stars.
All-Stars.
Yeah, I don't remember who was on trombone, but yeah.
Yeah, but so it was fun. And it
Bob
was like
Cesare on sax.
I lucked out. This guy didn't give me charts and say, well, this is what you're going to do now.
Yeah.
I would have had to say, you got to call somebody.
Yeah, right.
But
You get that pit in your stomach. You're like, oh
Right.
shit.
so then it ended up being, like I said, slivers. And a lot of people don't know this. My brother pretty much at one time wanted to play drums as much as he wanted to play saxophone.
Really?
Oh, wow.
So slivers was an influence to him as well, and then Maurice as well. So
It probably explains why he played with such amazing feel.
Yes.
Like he was we talk about that a lot on the show. We talk about feel and how you can't be taught feel. It's inside of you.
Absolutely.
So if you got it, you got it. If you don't, you don't.
You can teach
then-
theory till you're blue in the face, but
Absolutely.
you can't teach the pocket.
Nope.
That's it.
That's right.
So then, and Al's here, and one of the reasons I wanted him to come, and again, Al and I have been close friends for, 55 years at least.
At least.
So, I mean, we still, Al and his wife Elaine and my wife, we get together and we do pinochle, and now we're up to cribbage.
Joey takes me out fishing when he can get me on the lake.
So we and they let me pick one time a year a bad movie night.
Oh, okay.
So they all like to go watch this serious.
We called it Bad Movie Night
Well, 'cause
because it turned into that.
Well, they want to go watch the Green Mile and come out of there crying. And,
Right.
I want to come out laughing.
Laughing, yeah.
So they let me pick, and I pick really
Yeah,
stupid.
Danny DeVito things and stuff like that.
Drowning Mona.
Yeah.
Now I got to ask you because it was just Easter yesterday. Do you guys still all get together for Easter and stuff?
We don't, and Joey used to come to the house. Joey,
Yeah, I mean that was one of the highlights of my
guys.
growing up in my life was going to Joey's house on Easter, and you had that big elk hunting gun or whatever
I
that
had
you
a
had.
7mm mag that they got to shoot and handguns. Cause
Yeah, like
I
he's
had
hitting
60 acres of
quarters from
land.
like 150 meters away, just hitting quarter, knocking them off stumps and stuff. The scope is like this big. I mean, I'm exaggerating, but I mean this gun was monstrous.
Well, what happened is, unfortunately, Debbie got really sick, and she got what's known as Ramsay Hunt syndrome, and it's going to be well known now, and I'll tell you why. But no one ever heard of that. The doctors around here.
Yeah.
And to simplify it, what it is she got shingles down her ear canal.
Oh.
And she lost all sense of balance.
Oh.
So we spent over a year at Faxton Balance Center to teach her how to walk again. That's how.
Oh my
But
God.
people are going to learn about it now because the young kid performer Justin Bieber,
Bieber.
he
got it?
has it.
Oh, no kidding.
That's what's going on with him now.
Wow.
Called Ramsay Hunt syndrome. So, anyways,
Wow, I
that's
never
why
heard of that.
that's why we stopped doing.
Sure.
all you
Yeah, I
guys.
understand that. Yeah.
She can't, like with the commotion and
Sure.
too much information. She can't. So it's again, what are you going to do? We laugh about it now.
Oh, of
She'll
course.
fall every now and then, and I'll just. Last time she had a tray of food from the barbecue grill and wiped out, and I go, you could try to save the food.
Always with that Alberico sense of humor.
Yeah.
Huh?
Oh, yeah, of course.
She's a sport about. And again, my wife is a master's in music education. She's a
Yeah.
piano major from Crane. And
I think she subbed a few times when I was at school.
Oh yeah, she used to sub. all
Yeah,
the
yeah.
time.
Well, she
That's
taught-
where I remember meeting her.
Taught with Elaine over with my wife in East. No, East.
She didn't
Utica,
like it
Cornell
though.
area.
It wasn't her thing. So
Yeah.
so now she cooks. I fish.
Yeah.
That's my passion, and I love to do that. And her passion is cooking. That's why I'm so skinny. and she just loves it. I mean, I eat gourmet every night, and Mo, I got Mo a job with me, Petrello, down at the county, and he asked me every day, "What'd you have last night?" And I will tell him. He goes, "You realize people don't eat like that?"
Right. Yeah, exactly. I'd say all these memories are popping back in now of when I used to go to your house and stuff. And you're an avid fly maker, right?
Right.
Yes. He makes his own flies for the fly fishing and stuff. And just the kits that he had out, and you've seen them, of course.
Yes.
The kits out, and just like all these little like flies that he's using for fishing, and it was spectacular to see all that.
Yep.
So just a great time in my life.
And I'll
definitely.
talk about that in a little bit. But getting back to the music thing, so Al, well, actually, I don't know, and that's why you're here. Who got in the chessmen first? Was it Paul Angerosa?
You want that layout? Okay.
Or was it you?
Paul got in first.
Okay.
But I guess 2 weeks later, they needed a bass player for whatever reason. I don't know. So, and the chessmen was very professional. We had an agent, and like I said, they told us what to wear. It was a very professional group. So, I had to audition. But Paul told his leader, Ronnie Pomacolo was the leader's name, I know a bass player friend of mine, and they said, well, set up an audition date. Paul couldn't be. It was they were very professional. I went and auditioned. And Paul said, bring your trumpet with you, too. So I went in, and Ronnie, the leader, says, okay, Paul says you play bass. What do you know? Okay, what tunes do you know? Here's a list. You know any of these? Oh, yeah, I can play Magic Carpet Ride. You want to play that one? He goes, sure, let's hear it. So he plays it with me. Bum, 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 bum. But I'm playing about, 20 notes a measure. So after
is that nervous energy?
Yeah.
No, I didn't know what I was doing. No, I was
Just
spinning.
overplaying.
I was spinning him in. I thought I was doing the right thing.
Yeah.
Jack Bruce, whatever. So he stops me after about 8 to 10 measures. He says, "Listen, we'll give you a call." And he said, "Wait, Paul says you play trumpet." I said, "Yes, I do." And he says, "You have it with you?" And I said, "Yeah. Let me hear something." I take out my horn. I'm not the greatest trumpet player, but, I take out my horn. I play the Lonely Bull for him, Herb Alpert. We're hired. He says, you're hired. He says, I'm going to teach you how to play bass.
Oh, wow. All right.
Right then I knew. Okay, I guess I wasn't getting hired for my bass playing. And it was Ronnie who taught all of us. I mean, Paul had it naturally, I think, but Ronnie was the one who explained to us how a rock group was put together. Okay, at the time, before we didn't have slivers right away. We had a couple of good drummers, though. Dave Roberts, Daryl Madison, and the chessmen. And Ronnie, got me playing with the drummer's foot, the beat, and also if I didn't spat between the notes, because he was trying to teach me that space was just as more important as the note.
Oh, yeah. I say it all the time. Oh.
So he was making me spat like do. I had to put my hand down in between each note. When we were playing on stage in a performance, if I didn't do it, I got fined $5.
Really?
I didn't.
Wow.
I remember those days.
Okay, so it was this gentleman that got us all, in line with the playing. He really loved slivers, too, because of that simple laying it down. You just had to keep slivers from, having a party all the time. But
Was Freddie in the band then?
no. It was just Ronnie was playing keyboard.
Oh, that's right.
And
So was Freddie before Ronnie?
yes.
And Slivers was,
Right.
no?
Yes,
Yeah.
Slivers played.
Yeah, I just saw
Slivers was with, but then they kind of split up, and then they redid.
They did.
They got their
Freddie Faccioli. I don't know if you guys know Freddie.
Oh, yeah.
It was a-
Classified Freddie,
There was a
right?
gentleman, a keyboard player. Yeah, there's the group.
What
That's
year
the
was that?
Chessmen. That's probably 63.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, because this is
it.
Freddie. Yeah.
Freddie.
Al, how old are you then?
I'm 73.
No, I mean in
No,
that
when
picture.
you did that.
Oh, when I got into Chessmen, I was 18.
18.
Right.
Wow.
All right, so it was
Fresh
Paul,
out of high school.
Paul Angerosa. Too. We both got in, and it was you got paid every week. I was making $150 a week in 1968.
And you guys charted too, right?
What do you mean?
The songs hit the charts.
Well, they had, what was Blue Skies? Or
Yeah, that was Eric though.
That was
Okay.
Eric, right.
That was Eric.
So it was without you.
Yeah, I was not. Paul and I weren't. That was it. We came late.
So then, anyways, Al, did you start the Noblemen after that?
No,
No.
those guys were going. Well, Paul and I were in the Chessmen,
Okay.
and that was my brother and Steve Critelli and Maurice
Right.
and a gentleman named Doc DeMichael, who later on did become a doctor. Okay, and Doc and the nobleman, Gene couldn't book them in nightclubs because they were all under 17.
Underage, right? Yeah.
So, but he used to tell me, Gene, your brother's group is a pretty good little group there. He used to book them in all these different types of outdoor parties or birthday parties or whoever needed a band that didn't, where there was not alcohol. Mm-hmm. And that's, and then so they were watching us and everything.
Right.
Everything fell into place.
But then then you put together Holiday.
That right after the Chessmen finally and
dissolved.
Paul wanted to go his own way and whatnot, and then I put together Holiday. And
Which was the start. And basically really got Maurice going heavy, and then Michael Delagala, Andy Terzi.
Again, though, Michael and Maurice did get a lot because they played
another band
after me in the Chessmen.
Oh, that's right too.
With
They
Ronnie.
Right.
So Ronnie reinforced that bass playing, the drummer, bass player, and all of that stuff with us.
But when these guys had Holiday originally, literally, people would wait in a line 2 blocks long to get in to see them.
Same with the Chessmen, though.
Well, no, even Holiday.
Yeah, but I mean, I was waiting 2 blocks in line at the Lakeshore to see the Chessmen, too.
Yeah,
Same with me with Eric and watching Freddie. And poor Freddie, I mean, he's deafer than I am. And let's say he's at a B3 here in the Leslie cabinet with the horns right here.
Oh.
So how could you not?
Yeah.
Feeling that whip.
Oh, my God almighty. He
would definitely do it.
So,
what was the original lineup of Holiday?
Slivers. My brother on guitar, Roger McCabe on guitar, believe it or not.
Played bass, right? Roger?
Yeah, but no, Roger, yes, but he was playing guitar. He played guitar, too.
Okay.
He played bass with us. And Gary Monroe on trombone, myself on trumpet. My brother doubled on sax and guitar. Am I leaving anybody out? There were a couple more. There was a fellow from New York, good guitar player, singer, and Dr. Michael on bass. Some of the nobleman guys came up with us, in other words.
Wow.
And that was January 10, 1970. We played our first gig, Proctor High School dance. I didn't expect what was going on. There had to be somewhere between 700 and 1,000 kids in that gym going crazy. Like we were the Beatles, which we weren't, but.
Yeah. And you had a good run with the Holiday.
Yes.
How long?
Yeah.
Till at least 1982.
Right.
Then I changed it to Zen, and we were a different band.
Yeah.
Same musicians, really, but it was a different kind of thing.
Didn't you guys do Holiday periodically, though, after that?
We came back after the stint with Zen, which was more hardcore, and we were doing a lot of writing.
Yeah, okay.
You were at my house.
Yeah.
You heard a couple of our...
Oh, yeah, for sure.
We were doing a lot of writing with Zen. Then when we finally said, all right, we have to make some money, we became a wedding band, and just prior to the 90s. And really, that's when we did make all our money.
Right.
That's where the money was, though, in the wedding bands, right?
Sure.
Yeah.
Oh, God, yeah.
Still is.
Yeah.
So then I ended up going on the road with these guys because at that point I wanted to learn more about the technical stuff. I wanted to learn about the sound, and him and Eugene were the gurus back then in those days. So I went on the road with them for probably, 3 or 4 years, and Al taught me more about the sound, and then I got to be with my idol, Maurice, and watch him play every single night. And then Mo would try to show me stuff. And again, ironically, I didn't really put the time in like my brother did. My brother was 24/7. My thing was the outdoors. I wanted to do the hunting and fishing thing more so. And I got to play with all the best bands anyway. I mean, I played with Paul Anderosa. We were doing a thing at 4 Acres. I ended up playing with Holiday. I ended up playing with Target. And I didn't really work for it. So it was kind of cool that I ended up with all these guys anyway and still got to do all the fishing.
What was great about Joey was when you needed a drummer, it didn't matter whether he knew the music or not.
Right.
Whether he had heard it a lot, in other words. He knew he was. Some guys would get foiled by this, but Joey could. If there was a break, it didn't throw Joey. Joey kept playing through the break because time doesn't stop.
Right. That
And
was
he
my
would just
father.
start
My
men with
father
us.
put that into me. My father used to tell me that if you make a mistake, you act like you meant to do it.
Right.
You know what I'm saying?
All the mistakes leads to a lot of possibilities, right?
And if it's out of the key, then it's called jazz.
Right.
That's where the improv comes.
right.
So that's
Did you mess that up? No, it's jazz.
So then the agency actually, Tony C. and at one point Andy Sedadino, and that was the other band.
Yeah, Andy. Yeah, the
Andy and the
Classics.
Classics.
Andy and the
So it was
Classics.
Eric and the
We
Chessmen.
used to go see them all the time.
Oh, my
too.
God.
And
When-
the Royals.
Right, and the Royals for the Franny Cosmo and them
Cosmo,
guys.
no.
Oh, yeah.
You know. So when we were real young, my dad used to take Sal and I to a place. It was a strip club, Club 121. And on Sundays,
Strip club?
strip club.
Okay.
Club 121, or it might have been 121 Club or whatever. But we were real young. Maybe Savi was 7 or 8, and I was 11 or 12. So Andy Sedadino, Joey DePalma, all them guys would be down there jamming. So, and my dad would go jam with those guys. So we would get a Coke and a bag of potato chips and just watch these guys for hours. So it was like, oh my God, this is, you know.
I think Joey.
That was your education.
Joey DePalma was swinging long before he played rock and roll.
Absolutely.
Wow.
So Andy, and again, how ironic that all these people became my close friends, Andy and Al, and so I mean, it's a win-win. You know, it's just awesome. So and then, like I said, Al was responsible. He knew how to put bands together, and that's a big thing. And a lot of these guys that you hear about, because of this man right here.
No, because of Ronnie Pomacala.
Well, whatever.
And
That's where
Teddy
you
Alexander.
got. So it went down. It went down the chain. So again, it's just the history. People don't realize the history of this area as far as music.
Oh my God.
Super rich.
Right, like Russell Badalini, another one of my drum mentors.
Carmen Carmonica.
Carmen Camonico.
Ricky Montalbano,
I
the guys they
first
played
heard
with.
them in Fuel
Yeah.
Right.
with Vinny Esposito,
What a band that must have been.
Mickey Logan.
It was a great band.
Mickey Logan was singing. Dean Blast.
Dean was playing drums.
Carmen Camonico. Ricky
His brother was
Montalbano.
playing trumpet.
I mean,
Dave.
You just named an all-star lineup right there.
Dave was playing trumpet. Dave Blaskin.
Dave Blask.
Great. He's a
Yeah.
great jazz. He's a great player.
and that was the first time I saw them was called the Hacienda up in Trenton, that club. So, and again, it was this area was so rich with good players. And again, Russell became Andy Gibbs' band.
But this goes back to your father too, and your brother in this area.
Right.
Because you had, who was it that went and played piano for Frank Sinatra?
Oh, my dad's friends were.
Yeah.
We had Torrey Zito.
Torrey
was my
Zito played
dad.
for Frank Sinatra.
No, Tony Bennett's
Didn't he?
piano player.
Tony, okay.
As a matter of fact, he wrote the coffee jingle, the Maxwell House. Oh
wow.
He wrote that.
Yeah.
So on Sundays at my home on East Utica, a lot of these guys would be there, and they would be jamming. So I mean, this is the exposure I had. But again, for me, I don't know what it was, the outdoor fishing and hunting thing. My dad never hunted or fished a day in his life. And I had a couple uncles that were big in it that took me under wing, and that just struck.
Yeah.
I said, I got to know more about this stuff, and
Your dad was just nonstop music.
nonstop.
Pretty
Yeah.
much.
And let's go through his accolades, too. I mean, your dad's played with so many. He would be the first one they'd call up if they needed a backup band.
I can't tell you the amount of people I've met. I've met Jerry Vale. I met Paul Anka, Annette Fabre, all the people that ever came to
Well,
Utica.
he was with me at the casino too. Whenever it was that type of show, El Martino came to sing. I called his father was playing lead saxophone for me.
Yep.
I was with dad.
I was too young when he was working with Nat King Cole.
Nat King Cole, right?
But I was too young then. They used to play at Three Rivers Inn, and I've never been there. That was out in Syracuse, I
yep.
guess.
Legendary place.
Yeah, I've never been to the place. But so again, I because of my dad, what he instilled in me. The agencies would use me if a band came to Utica and they had a problem with the drummer, they'd call me to go sit in. And I knew enough that if I don't know where the stops are, I'm going to just play through it. And no one knows. You know, the general public doesn't have any idea of how intricate this can be. And again, if you did make a mistake, you just smile and like, oh, I meant to do that.
Yeah.
You know, so it's
and just say, "Oh shit," in your head, right?
Well, no, I know what I did.
Yeah, right. You don't want to let them know that you know.
There was another place. We played there, and on the wall was all the old contracts and stuff. Club 86 in Geneva.
Yep.
And that was, Nat King Cole was there, Ella Fitzgerald, like all those old, and
all the biggies.
And if you go into that place, still like they have remember the old pillow top. In the back of the stage, it looked like a pillow top like that. They had that. They still have that, and all those old seats and everything. It's like the beginning of Goodfellas, so they all go into the club, the Copacabana or whatever. It kind of looks like that whole scene. Like it was just like your
father did a lot of Three Rivers Inn too.
Yeah,
it's closed now, but that was a big night.
Whereabouts was that?
Almost Oswego. I think it was in.
Okay, so it was going north.
Was it Baldwinsville? Like
no, it's past that.
No, past that. Okay. Well, and it was right on where the canal is, right? Pretty much. That's why they called it Three Rivers.
I think that's Fulton. No, not Fulton. It begins with an F.
Yeah, I don't know.
The biggest town next to Oswego.
I used to play up there with Target all the time at the whatever it was, the fire barn, and then.
A lot of Doc Severinsen comes to mind, but a lot of Doc Severinsen, a lot of big players were at this Three Rivers Inn too.
Yeah. Wow. Legend has it was like a mafia-run place. There's actually I know of a screenplay written about that particular venue.
No kidding.
It's a friend of mine actually bought like the property that's there, and he wrote a screenplay about it.
About Three Rivers?
About Three Rivers,
I did not know that.
Yeah, so hopefully it'll come into a movie, but that'd be cool.
So because of these guys again and wanting to play, my first band actually was, I think I was in the 5th or sixth grade. And I started a band with Tony DeBrango and Mike Tedesco, and I named it after the girl I was in love with, Regina Meza. So we called it the Regis. So, whatever. So after that...
I didn't know this one, Joe.
Yeah. that was my first band, basically. And... I'm trying to remember what I did after that. I did a lot of garage bands and stuff like that, and just kept going and going. And then I got in a band with Frank Canistra, Rich Mancini, and John Petrantonio. It was called Company, and we became the house band at Mr. Joe's. What did you tell me the name was after?
2005.
2005.
Yeah, Captain
but
Trips.
It was Lucifer's. It
Lucifer's
was
after
Braintree.
before 2005.
Yeah, and it was Palm Beach Club at one point.
Yeah, so it was Mr. Joe's, Joe Switer, and Helen, who were amazing cooks. But so we were the house band there. And plus, we played a lot of jobs. We would go to Oneana, and my brother's godfather owned 2 clubs in Oneana, the Oasis Motor Inn and the Ponderosa. So I went down there and with the company, and the next night I drove back down there with some friends because Strawberry Alarm Clock was playing there. I don't know if you guys are.
These names are killing me. I love it. Strawberry Alarm.
That was another thing.
Was that in the 60s? It had to have been in the 60s, right?
It was absolutely.
A lot of the times we were opening for these bands, we just, they would send us to Suburban Park, and we were opening for the I can't think of the name, the Raspberries.
The Raspberries.
Oh yeah.
Yes.
And the other guys, there were a lot of one-hit wonders.
Yeah.
And they would need a band to open for them.
So then I ended up being the guy that they would call to go fill in. And then I remember, and again, I had put it all away for a while to get into the fishing thing, and then got drugged back in it. And then I got back in playing, and Andy Saladino asked me if I would go to Colorado for a year and play. with some people. I said, oh, I'm in, whatever, at that point. So I ended up with, the band's name was R.A. Dumas and Reverence, and it was Lester Duval.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so I lived with Lester and Odie in Colorado Springs. I met 15 people from Utica.
Wow.
That moved out there. Bill Spring, who used to own a club in Inlet, owned a club out there, and this is the God's honest truth. They introduced me to him and said, Joey's from Utica. And I put my hand out. This is what he says to me. Do you know Slivers? Honest to God.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm in Colorado, and they're asking me about Slivers. So I spent a year in Colorado playing, and then I came back home, and then I told you I had suffered a stroke, and I lost everything on my right side.
Wow.
And that kind of ended my playing for a good while. And then the last project I did was Mark Tayo, who I think writes unbelievable music. His drummer had to leave him, so Carl Marucci, another friend, drummer of mine, gave him my name, and he called me, and I said, well, Mark, I don't play anymore. I put it away. And, oh, geez, can you just help me out? I have some jobs to finish. And I said, what kind of music are you doing? He said, originals mostly. I go, I'm not. So he said, could you just come to the house? He said, I have drums set up. And so I said, okay. So I went up to the house, and I went over some of the stuff with them, and I'm saying to myself, I really like this. This is my kind of music.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So I started a band. He had a band already, so I got in the band. And then I got Tommy Cudera, who was with the Swamp Drivers.
Yep.
And Tommy and I grew up together. He lived down the street from me. Mm-hmm. So Tommy left the Swamp Drivers and came with me, and we did a power trio that was really doing great.
Yeah, Tommy was a good bass player.
Then Tommy got sick, and that was just...
Tommy's great, man.
Yeah. So, and then my other thrill was Vinny Esposito. Mm-hmm. Vinny... I spent all the years on the road with Vinny when I was doing sound and everything with Ronnie Finelli and Holiday. And then I ended up playing with Vinny and Target for a few years. And he's just a super, super guy. And again, obviously, we just lost Vinny 6 months ago or whatever.
Sweetheart of a person. No, I don't think you ever had a bad thing to say about anyone.
No, never.
Nope.
So again, I got away from it, and I got back in with Mark Tayo, who's actually a chainsaw carver by trade. This guy's like wicked talented. So he's going to play with me I'm going to play with them on the 30th. It's a Curtis Road band, and Dave Battolini, who played with me in Moxie, we started a theatrical kind of band, and I had the long hair down to my rear end, all silver frosted, with the high heel platforms and the bangles and the whole thing back then. So it was Guy Citronetti, Tony's brother, Dave Battolini, Bruce Bowen was a great bass player who we just lost this past year.
He was another great bass player.
And Bernie Devins, and we traveled up and down the East Coast playing all the clubs, and I remember doing I don't know how many one-nighters in a row. We started from Alex Bay and ended up in Miami Springs.
Wow.
We would do all the Machine Gun Kelly clubs on the way down, and Rick Sotheran was our manager. And Rick Sotheran actually went to a garage sale and bought a PV board as big as that table.
Yeah.
The dials were like that big around.
It was only 4 channels.
Pretty much. And he bought a trunk full of what were the old-fashioned lights, the canisters.
Yeah, the park cans.
Right. Mm-hmm. That's what he started with, and then
like 500 watts a piece.
Oh yeah.
Right. So then he ended up managing the Frogs, which was Brian Marcantonio, and I played with Brian and the House Rockers at the Devereaux. Mm-hmm. So again, I got to play with everybody anyway, and
you did.
Yeah. So again, and I didn't even work for it. I was.
You wanted to be out in the woods.
I wanted to be fishing, so and I got into that pretty heavy. And then in 2004, I got inducted into the New York State Outdoorsman Hall of Fame. And at the time, my dad had gotten inducted into the Historical Society Living Legend. So I always busted him on my dad and say, "You can hang out with me now. You're a Hall of Famer."
You guys are Hall of Famers.
But it was nothing to do with that I'm a good fisherman or great hunter, or nothing to do with that. It's that I passed on the art to young people.
Ah, cool.
Right.
And I also now, the only thing I do with it now is I teach at the Citron Healthcare Center, and I teach the veterans fly tying and fly fishing, and it's therapy. Now, they just asked me if I would do the drumming. So I'm going to get Lenny Milano and myself and whoever else, and we're going to do therapy drumming.
Wow.
So that's going to be...
That's really good.
Yeah.
It is therapeutic.
Yeah.
It is.
I've never done that thing that way, but they're going to buy a bunch of drums and... So
Like hand drums,
yeah,
percussion, yeah.
right. So what I'm doing now is I'm going to need somebody to come and play bass. So
I wonder who that would be.
I figured if you lay down a groove and
Wait
then
till that happens,
we
'cause
play.
Between my grandchildren and my trumpet playing, I don't play my bass very much, and I loved playing bass. But I just
Well, it's like riding a bike, Al. You know that.
Right.
I still
Kind
pick
of.
it up,
Kind
but,
of.
It's kind of like riding a bike. There's no handlebars and wheels, though.
Right. Right.
And then
That's
the other
true.
thing I want to mention before we wrap up or whatever is I was talking to Z that when we played, we had so many clubs to play in.
Yeah.
And I said this earlier. We walking distance downtown, I can go on any weekend and listen to 4 or 5 different bands.
Sure.
Yeah.
And that don't exist anymore. It's all gone. And then COVID thing really.
Yeah, I couldn't come up with the
Hammered it.
name, but there was even in Utica, New York.
Yeah.
Which is doesn't Utica, New York
Right.
had a club that ran 6 nights a week.
Oh, yeah.
6 nights a week.
Yep.
And so Little Big Man, that's the first time I saw Joey English played. He had a band called Jam Factory.
Yeah.
And then
I remember those guys.
my brother Sal and I and a couple of people used to drive out on Tuesday nights to Skinny Atlas to a place called Under the Stone, and that was the band Crack.
Oh yeah.
Real
okay.
good. Oh,
They were incredible.
And the drummer, Tommy Rosado, ended up being in our family. He married my cousin at one point. So
Who else was in that band,
the
Joey?
keyboard player,
was,
Larry
Arlotto.
Larry Alada, that's
We
right.
lost
It was
him early.
Rick Kua, who ended up with the Outlaws.
Yep.
Larry ended up with Maynard Ferguson, did work with Maynard Ferguson.
Was he with Atlas at some point too?
He was with Atlas.
Yeah.
And then Chisholm.
But I mean, we
Yeah.
lost him early though.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. Because
Well, last I saw Larry, he was working with Ronnie Lee
yeah.
out in Syracuse.
Well, Ronnie was with that because they all like we were talking before about that whole like family tree of bands, and like they all kind of have like 6 degrees of separation to each other at some point. And I remember when our first soundman Tom Stone worked with Atlas. That was when Larry Arlotto was in the band and Ronnie Lee was in the band. And I mean, he would play us tapes, like board tapes of them, and you're just your eyes are bugged out of your head. You're plastered to the back, and you can't believe what you're listening to. They were that good. It was just, and Ronnie Lee. I mean, he reminds me a lot. His voice reminds me a lot of Robert Cray.
Right, yeah.
You know, that whole
Them
real
guys were light years ahead
God.
of so many people.
You're not
They
kidding.
were
Yeah.
just-
Ronnie
just
Lee's
great
still doing it
musicians.
too.
Oh yeah.
Absolutely.
They were just great musicians.
Tommy
Absolutely.
Rosado was a good. They used to do Genesis, I think, better than Genesis.
Sure.
I'm serious. It was. So we go to Under the Stone and Joey English, who ended up with Wings, Paul McCartney.
Yep.
Wow.
I mean, these are people from upstate New York, and then I used to go in that same era with Eric and the Chessmen. Was a band called the Royals, which was Franny Cosmo and his
Yeah, we
brothers.
mentioned that. Yeah, but and then there was also another great band, the Brass Buttons.
Oh yeah. Well, we had the Roosters, the Imperials. Those are all bands we had growing up. The first time I saw the Roosters was on Conklin Ave. There was a club called the Hullabaloo.
Hullabaloo.
I'm talking. You guys weren't even born, I don't
Right.
think,
Right.
at that point. You guys. Great. One of my all-time favorite bands, and nobody really knows who they were, but they were called Another Pretty Face.
I remember them too.
Well, you do, but they didn't.
Yeah.
But the drummer, it was like a 3-piece power band, and the drummer had a 26-inch bass drum, one tom and one floor tom, a ride cymbal and one crash cymbal. They were so tight you can hear a pin drop in between notes.
Wow.
Those guys were huge, 3-piece.
That's great.
And then Al used to tell me, you don't have to play all that stuff, because I thought to be good I had to be like Frankie Briggs and play
All the progressive stuff, yeah.
Lay it down.
But
find
you
the
were in that
groove.
different school.
Keep
Well,
it
that's
simple.
because I was stoned on. I was drilled, stoned into me.
Well, and Yard used to tell me the same thing. Just lay it down, find a groove, and drive the band.
And when you feel it, you feel.
And when you
Unless it's rehearsed.
right. Mm-hmm. And when you do, it's like riding. I use the term. It's like riding in a Mercedes. It's just so comfortable.
And you just feel the fills where they would to lead.
Well, and you do this for a living. I used to know within 3 notes what kind of night we're going to have.
Oh, my God, yeah. Sometimes I know before we even start playing.
Right?
Yeah. I mean, let's be real.
Really? You know right away, oh, God, this is going to be a tough night,
Yep. Oh, yeah.
And then this reminds me of my last time I played with my dad was at the Sons of Italy.
Yep.
So he begged me, so you got to help me out. And it's like, I don't want to do this, Dad. Come, yeah, please. Okay. So I go to this job. I had to carry all my father's stuff in. Joe Yazzo shows up, the bass player. I had to carry all Joe's stuff in.
Because you're the young guy.
I'm the young guy. I'm
the young buck.
Some of them were pushing 90.
Yeah, of course.
Danny Filatico, he brought the sound system. I had to help him out. And Mike and the guitar, so I had to take all their equipment in. So we're just going to start getting ready to play. And Danny and my father are already half in the bag. So, Joe Yazzo yells
Because they were
out,
drinking while you were loading their gear.
Absolutely.
You're doing all the work.
I'm doing the work, and they're cocktailing. So
Exactly.
Joe Yazzo's yelling at Mike across the stage. He goes, Mike, it's your wife. You left your cell phone home. Fungo. So she goes,
I know the story.
and you took the wrong medication. You took a sleeping pill. Oh, my God. I said, Dad, you should change the name of this to the Geriatric 5. That was my last job playing with my dad. But, oh, my God, it was.
Speaking of which, let's talk about April 30th. It's coming up in a couple
and
of weeks.
I'll tell you quick how I got into that.
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay, the reason being is they tried to do something, a smaller scale to start with, and I knew we can do this bigger. And it was mostly the jazz thing. But the truth was, my brother, biggest goal in life, wanted to be in Holiday.
Yeah, he said that on this podcast.
I knew a lot of people, though.
Yeah.
So my thing was that, most people do a different ways of doing things, but the scholarship. And I said, you know what? My dad was such a stickler for live music.
Yeah.
Okay? So I said, let's do something different, and let's buy instruments, or we're asking for used instruments, and we will physically donate them to the schools so the kids actually have something in their hand to play. That's how that came about. And then I said, you know what? Elle played with my brother and Holiday and so all the other rock and roll bands and Joey Rossi Sr. and so on and so on. How fair is it that they don't get to come and play because they don't play the jazz thing? So I said, we got to do more than just jazz. So that's how this came about. It's going to be a long day. So we have jazz from 1 o'clock till like 4 or 5. And then we're going to have from that period on. And I used 8 as a target number. So if Dave, the owner, doesn't care and the bar's busy, I'm sure he's going to say, look, you guys play as long as you want to play. You know what I'm saying? So, which is cool. So everybody gets an opportunity to play, not just the jazz guys. My brother was actually more, his heart was in the jazz, but he'd love to play whoever.
Played with whatever we did. In fact, he had Holiday playing a little bit of. I mean, he would get us to play a little bit of jazz.
Sure.
You know.
Yep.
So that's
So it starts at 1 o'clock at Twin Ponds.
At Twin Ponds
on the 30th of April.
And the reason we did the 30th is because it's the International Jazz Day.
Oh wow.
Oh wow.
That's how that date
really
came
cool.
about.
Okay.
And most of that, so everybody knows, Rosemary Bonacci teaches at the Utica University, and her class did all the research on this and came up with the information, the logo, and the name, and all of that stuff, which was just
It's
awesome.
great.
Yeah.
So what is going to kick it all off? The Jazz is going to kick it all off. Is there a lineup? Talk about who's playing.
I have my cousin Ricky Alberico, who's a phenomenal saxophone player. He's going to start it off. And then after him is the Dove Tones, which is Devin Garamone.
Yeah, and Jerry D.
Right.
Yeah.
I mean, these guys were all close friends with Savi.
Yeah.
And I left maybe an hour open so that whoever wanted to come and jam,
Yeah.
like Maurice might want to sit in and play. Because Maurice is a great jazz drummer as well. People don't know how great this kid really is. But anyway, so he might want to. And then Ricky Montalbano and Julie will close that out. El's going to play. So, and then from there on, I'm going to do like 4 or 5 songs with Mark Tayo, the original stuff he does. I really like
cool.
it. And I have some nieces coming up from Florida and California, Maurice's daughter, who never even heard me play. So before I pack it away forever, I'm going to play just so they could see Uncle Joey play.
Oh, cool.
Yeah. So, and then after that, I'm going to have the Sistai brothers and Gene Volz and all of them, Justin McBride band, and then I'm going to have Lenny Milano, who's dearest friend.
Is he going to show up on time?
I don't know, but I got a backup just in case Lenny's late. So Lenny's going to play with Monkey Fever.
Yep.
And then I have these guys graciously accepted to do it, and then I'll have Soul Injection.
Oh, great.
So if the
What a
owner, yeah. So if you want to do the jazz thing, you come early. And again, this is my thinking. A lot of the people that will come for the jazz thing probably don't want to stay later for the rock and roll or whatever you want to call it, louder stuff.
Unless they're closet rock and roll fans.
Right. Which there probably will be a bunch of
For
them.
sure.
So this way, hopefully we're going to have another rush of people come in a little later that want to do the rock and roll kind of stuff. You know what I'm saying?
Yes, and you're asking for used instruments, right? Or brand new, right? You'll take any kind of instrument?
We'll take whatever.
And that's going to get donated to the Utica School District?
Well, we haven't made that decision yet. I'm meeting with some of the superintendents, and this is and if someone else has better ideas, please let me know. But I'm looking at them giving me who gets the least amount of budget for the schools, and whoever gets the least amount of money for the
Music
program, those are the people that we want to start with.
Right. Which is, this is incredible. More stuff like this should happen because
Absolutely.
the very thing that gets cut in schools nowadays is
It's
music
music.
and arts.
Right.
So it's just it's unfortunate, and but hopefully we can keep it all alive.
Yep.
As much as we can.
Hence the inspiration behind, we did a instrument drive here at the Disruption number back in 2018 for Proctor High School.
Okay.
And for the same exact reason, too, because their music department gets totally depleted, and we raised over 200 instruments for them.
Wow.
So, yeah, it was a really good.
And by the way, it's just hitting me now that we have a mutual friend that...
I'm sure we have a lot of them.
Right. Vicky Low Cash Brew.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, of course. That's a very good friend of my mom.
Yeah. So Vicky and I went to the prom together, and
Oh, wow. I didn't know that. Yeah. Did you tell me?
You told me.
Did I tell you? I don't know.
you told me. You told her. Yeah,
That's right. Yes.
So, and she's been very ill, and we're going to be.
I love that woman.
Yeah, me too. They're doing a benefit for her come up in May, I guess.
Yep.
So,
we'll be out there for that.
I'll
If you
be
want to
there.
come with us, you're
I'll
coming
be
too?
there.
Good.
Absolutely.
Awesome.
Absolutely.
Very good. So it's going down April 30th at Twin Ponds. Play It Forward. I like the name.
Yep. Thanks to the kids that did all the hard work, and then Rich, who's a graphic designer, he did all the layout and the poster and all of that. This is all voluntary work and it cost us a penny to do. I mean, and thousands of dollars worth of. And my sister Maria, I'll be doing a thing with Genesee Joe on the 25th at 1 o'clock on the drive. My sister Maria will be doing WKTV and announcing. We've had some absolutely generous sponsors.
Yeah.
So Maria will tell what the sponsors, who they are, and what they gave us and all of that.
And there's going to be a basket raffle and 50-50 and all
Doing
that.
a basket raffle, the whole thing.
The whole thing.
We're going to do whatever.
All about,
right. So, and I appreciate, Justin, you guys doing this.
Oh my God! What an incredible thing to be a part of, though. You know what I mean? Like, why wouldn't we want to do that? You know, that's the way I look at it, because it's, you know, we grew up. I mean, as much as you were talking about growing up with Slivers and Mo and all that stuff. I mean, well, Mo. I mean, that was kind of like where the overlap was with Mo, because I mean, you grew up, you know, listening and worshiping Mo.
Absolutely.
And same with Joey. You know, little Joey grew up watching Mo and took some lessons from him. So there's that overlap there. But going out to see all you guys play when we were younger was like we wanted to be you guys. You know what I mean? So like,
well, I wanted to be Maurice. I wanted to be Sliver.
and that's the.
We were looking before I got into Chessman. We were going to those clubs that were like teenage clubs at non-alcoholic, and go and try and get in and see them guys whenever we could. Them, Andy and the Classics, the Roosters, all these guys.
Yeah. And that's, I mean, you know, the fact that I'm excited to see all you guys play. I mean, like, that's, you know, because it's been a long time. I mean, once we got going, we stopped going to see all the bands because we couldn't play. You know, we were playing all the time. You guys know how that goes.
That's what happened to us too.
You know, so I mean, you know, after a while, it's like, oh man, you know, and then you get an opportunity like this to be able to see you guys, you know, play again, and it's just it's going to be really enjoyable for all of us.
Maybe I saw the Frogs 4 times because we were always working.
Yep.
Yeah.
Oh, Al, I got to ask you. This is from Jim Morgan. Said Al taught me to.
Oh, Jim.
Al told me to stop overplaying and lock in with Slivers. Also, Al stole Sal from Fountain.
I didn't steal him. And Fountain was a good band. I used to see them at the Forest Hotel in Silver Beach.
I remember them coming, Jimmy Morgan and those guys coming to my house. I had my drum set up in the downstairs apartment at my parents' home, and they asked me if I wanted to play, join them and Keel the Puppet. And I said no, and so stupid me, because they became such a great band.
Yeah.
But I was like, they're my brother's friends. I got to do something more than that. But then it's like, why didn't I do that, you idiot?
And Jimmy Morgan, I mean, he didn't need much from me. He was good when he came with us. He was good.
Sure,
absolutely.
Mm-hmm. Jimmy was a good bass player.
Yeah.
And that's what we have a shortage of nowadays. We have no bass players anymore. We're losing them. You know, we lost Bruce Bowen, and Tommy Cadera,
Greg Dean.
Yeah, I mean, it's
Greg Dean.
Greg Dean, and who was another phenomenal. You know, I tried to get Al, and again, he's busy with his grandchildren. And Brian Marcantonio plays great bass. People don't know that.
I didn't know that.
Oh my God! Yeah,
Wow.
Brian's a great
he
bass
used to
player.
play bass.
Yeah,
I played
bass. He was on and off with Paul in our bands before the Chessmen and all that. Our kid bands. He was either playing bass or rhythm and some lead with Paul.
So again, I've been so fortunate, and being able to play with all these guys. I mean, it's just incredible that I look back on it now. And it's like, oh my God, I couldn't have paid for that. You know, it just the experience that I had with. I mean, I looked up to like Paul Anderosa. I mean, he was like, you know, God. I mean, I watched him way back with Moose and them. They had a million bands. Hungry Mother. I mean, So,
He's definitely a guitar hero.
yeah. And
yeah.
ironically, I listened to more guitar players than I ever did drums.
Really?
My favorite guitar player, Steve Vai,
Yeah.
who was Frank Zappa's original guitar player. And I go see him as often as I could possibly see him. And his drummer, Jeremy Colson, is one of my favorite players. And then Steve Lukather from Toto.
That's Justin's
That's my
idol.
favorite
That's
guitar
your
player.
guy?
That's
Oh,
my
my
guy.
God.
Yeah,
If I had the
for
money
sure.
to follow him around, I mean, these
I've
guys.
been to more Toto concerts in the past 5 years than I have been to
Right.
any other concert in my life.
I
Like,
went to
I go
see
see them
Ringo.
anytime they're around here.
I went
Incredible.
to see Ringo Starr, and who's there? Steve's
Lukather,
playing
yeah.
guitar, and
He's the longest running member of that band.
is it?
Yeah, he's been with them for almost 10 years.
Really?
In that all-star band, and they've changed everybody, but Luke and Ringo are like best friends.
No kidding.
Yeah, they all hang out. They hang out at each other's houses and stuff. Yeah, so they became really, really tight. But
Well, I mean, the lineup there, you had, and I don't know the names, the organ player that wrote Black Magic Woman,
Yeah.
with Santana.
he was with Journey first too.
right?
Yeah,
I mean,
Greg Rowley.
these guys were like, you had the bass player from Mr. Mister.
Yep.
Todd Rundgren.
Yeah.
I mean, oh my God. how
Greg
could you-
Bissonette on drums.
Yep.
Yep.
And I'm like second row center. I could, hey, how are you guys? I mean, it was
Yeah.
just to watch them guys.
That was a great lineup too. That lineup was
Absolutely.
really good.
Tom Petty played with them too at one point.
I don't know.
Back in the 80s, early 90s, I think that he did
Joe
one with them.
Walsh.
Joe Walsh was on the wow. That's Ringo Starr's son-in-law, I think, or brother-in-law.
Brother-in-law.
Yep.
Joe
But,
Walsh, another. And I never got to see the Eagles. I wish I did.
Yeah, me either.
Well, they're out there now.
Yeah, they're good.
Yeah.
They're out there touring right now.
It's just sad that you would never be able to see him with Glenn. You know,
No, right,
Like
exactly.
that original lineup. It's funny because they played before when the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame, when they got inducted, they all got back together and played. Randy Meisner was on the stage, and the first guitar player, drawing a blank. Anyway, he was there, and then they ended up touring with him for a couple of years, and he came back and with everybody, so everybody was there, and I mean to be,
Yep.
because that's one of my top favorite bands. But something you guys might not know, I've never seen Paul Angerosa play in my entire life.
Really?
Oh my God.
Not once.
I used to go see Vinny and the Butchers all the time.
Well,
Well, they had Vinny and the Butchers was one of the last times that they played at the Devereaux. Joe and Jose went, and for some reason I couldn't go. So I still to this day, had never seen
Right.
Vinny and the Butchers. I'd never seen. The closest I got to see to Vinny and the Butchers was Frank, Cremo, and Lenny with Phil Petroff. So it's like, you know what I mean, which is amazing. But I mean, I still never got to see Paul. So
See, my brother.
Paul was another amazing guitar.
Amazing.
But sorry, like you said, you watch guitar players, and like if you go on my YouTube or Facebook right now, and you know how they suggest videos and stuff, all drummers. That's
Right.
all I do is sit and watch drummers all day. It's crazy.
Yeah, I do the opposite. I watch all the guitar
Yeah,
players.
yeah.
But my brother Sal and I used to say had brass balls. He would get up with anybody and play. I was afraid.
Yeah.
I'm like, I can't. It didn't matter to him.
Yeah.
So when I got to play like on stage with Paul Anderosa, it's like, oh my God, I can't believe I'm actually on stage with Paul Anderosa. That's how
Exactly.
great player he is.
Stephanie and I still listen to the Sale album.
Oh, do you?
It's like our house cleaning music.
Oh, for sure.
And it still holds up. I mean, it's still like top notch.
Yeah.
And that was back in the mid 70s.
Yeah.
Yep.
Incredible. It's
Yeah.
really good stuff.
Sal, the funny thing is, like you talk about Paul and everything. Like I grown up, and when I was growing up, it was Sal Alberico Jr. You got to hear him play sax. You got to hear him play sax, like all this stuff. And I was playing. I know I told this story already to Sal, and I was playing at the brew house in East Utica, and he came in and sat down, and I was like, I got nervous. You know what I mean? Because it's like I'd never even seen the man before
Yes,
in my
I
life,
do.
but I
I
knew
know what
exactly
you
what he looked like. You know what I mean? And I knew it was him. And he comes up after one song, he goes, "You mind if I grab my horn?" I'm like, "Yeah, go ahead." We're good. He brought his horn in. I'm like 3 or 4 songs into the first set. He played the whole rest of the night with me. And before I was done with my last song, out the door he went, waved, and that was it. I mean, it was just the coolest thing in the world. I mean, I played in my entire show. I played, and he played with me every single song.
Right.
Never had to ask what key it was in. Just sat there and blew his
Larry
horn. It sounded
Alada,
great.
when I used to be around Larry Alada and them guys, he would say, "Why don't you play a couple songs?" be no day I'm playing a couple songs with you guys. I mean, I'm a hack, man. I'm not, you know.
We still have people talking about the podcast when Sal was on, still to this
you
day.
do? Yeah.
Because it was hysterical.
I haven't been able to watch it yet.
He missed his call.
Still haven't been able to watch it.
He should have been a comedian.
Stephanie says that
my
all the
God,
time.
Yeah, he should have been. Just what was the went to bed with Bo
Derek and woke up with Bo Diddley. Yeah, that was one of the first jokes he told, and that was I mean, because we knew where we knew where he was going with the story. We had an idea where he was going with the story, but then he made the comparison with the Bo Derek and Bo Diddley, like the Bo, and I was like, oh my God, what a genius! Like he was just genius.
Off the cuff.
Yeah.
We went. Man. I had him come to work with me out in Buffalo. I was doing a big project out there, and so we go to the Texas Roadhouse for dinner, and we get in there, and the barmaid's at the other end of the bar, and he's going, "Oh, nurse!" The whole bar's roaring, laughing. "Oh, nurse!"
When we were on the road, we're on the road, so we come back from the gig. It's 2:30, 3 o'clock in the morning. We're in the motel room. There's a knock on the door. We're partying in the room.
Yeah.
It's the guy next door, the person who's got the room next door. And he sees all of us. Ronnie Finelli's there. Ronnie's big guy. We have big road crew guys and everything. There's like 8 of us in there. So, and he probably, his wife sent him over. He probably didn't want to come over there, but my wife's having a hard time falling asleep. Can you guys please be quieter and whatnot? So Sal goes into his, I can't think of the comedian, hey, lady.
Jerry Lewis.
Hey, lady.
Jerry Lewis. Yeah. He goes into his Jerry Lewis.
Big Jerry Lewis fan. Big.
So I told the guy, I says, listen, we're going to go out I got the guys together because I don't want to get thrown out again.
Again.
We're going to go out for coffee. We'll give you guys a chance to go to sleep, and we'll go out for a couple hours. But so the woman is yelling at us, and Sal's talking to her like Jerry Lewis as we're going down the stairs. I don't want to use expletives. So
that's fine. Please do.
I don't want to say everything he was saying. I can't do it. Because he's going, hey, lady, F this lady. But he sounds just like Jerry Lewis, and we're just freaking out.
Oh, man.
Big Jerry Lewis.
One of the little things.
Oh, sure.
One thing.
Was there ever a time when Sal and Slivers played together in a band?
I told.
And are any of the rest of those people alive?
I told Stephanie if Sal and Slivers were in the band at the same time.
Yeah.
I probably wouldn't have been able to keep us out of jail.
Right, exactly.
Because they were both crazy.
Oh, my God.
Slivers was pretty crazy, too.
Sure.
God, yeah.
I couldn't imagine the two of them together.
He's my idol. I got to say.
Sure.
And if you guys have us back, I'll bring Slivers because
I'd love to have you back.
You got to meet him. He is one of and Freddie Faccioli. I'd love to have Freddie here.
I'd love to get up and when you guys go to his house for that Christmas party. I really want to get to that because Lenny invited us a couple years in a row, and I'd love to just go and hang out with you guys. It'd be a lot of fun.
Just a room full, and I go there every year, and it's like.
What do we have this year? 40 people.
Yeah. It's like I don't really belong here. I don't feel that I'm into that caliber of. But
I definitely don't belong. But I just sit back and listen to the stories. You know what I mean? Because it'd just be amazing.
Isn't about caliber.
No, I know that, but you can't help how you feel.
What you've been talking about all this time.
Exactly.
That's what it's all about.
Does the Christmas party turn into a jam session or just a hang? Just a hang.
Just a hang.
Yeah.
Hang out, and then we tell stories, and I tell my Vinny Esposito story, and I never called Vinny Vinny. I called him Nadine. Yeah. And it's a story. I don't know. It's kind of raunchy story, but
what's holding you back?
I know, right? What are you worried about?
At the Stone Balloon, all right. And I hope people don't get mad at me about this, but anyways, people didn't realize Vinny stuttered really bad, and when he was younger, it was real bad.
Yeah.
But all the years I worked with Vinny on the road, not once did I ever hear him stutter singing.
I had him talking. No. Yeah, but I also had him talking to the audience.
Right.
He became our front man.
Yes.
Oh, wow.
So anyways, at Stone Balloon, we would be there a week at a time. So we get down there, and at that point I had met this girl, Michelle. We called her Boobala because God was really good to her. So we get down there, and I would stay at Michelle's house instead of staying at the hotel with the guys. So we
I
get
wonder
there.
why.
Right. So Michelle says to me, my friend wants to meet Vinny. I said, okay. So I go to Vinny. I go, Vinny, Michelle's friend, Boobala's friend wants to meet you. So Vinny said, who? I point her out. Goes, yeah, okay. He goes, when we're done tonight, I'll come to the apartment and, party or whatever. I said, okay. So Vinny always like wine and dine. So Vinny goes next door. And down there, they don't call them liquor stores. It's a package store.
Well, package store, yeah.
And Jill Biden, what was Jill Stevens then, ran it. So he gets a bottle of wine. We go to Michelle's house, and we're sitting around, and we're smoking a joint and drinking. And so I look at Michelle. I go in the other room. So we go in the other room and horsing around. And like 20 minutes later, knock on the door. So what the hell? I jump under the covers. I go, come in. So here comes this Nadine and Vinny behind her. So I'm trying to make eye contact with her. Like, you ain't getting along? What's going on, So Vinny's like shrugging his shoulders. So all of a sudden, the girl, Nadine, starts small talking, and she goes, look, in a situation like this, I have to be very blunt. I would really like to go to bed with Michelle. Mink. I'm like, okay. I said, Vinny and I will pull up a chair. I go,
yeah, right? Sure.
Whatever. So she said, well, that's not what I mean. So I go, oh, okay. I said, you want to have like an orgy? She goes, well, that's not exactly what I mean. And again, I go, okay. I said, when Michelle and I are finished or whatever, you can be with Vinny and I'll be with Michelle, or when you guys, whatever. Well, that's not exactly what I mean. I'm like, what?
Well, what do you mean?
Right. So finally she goes, I just thought as long as Michelle and I do, why don't you and Vinny? Vinny goes, I love Joe. I kiss him on the cheek once in a while, but that's it. I think Vinny was afraid I was going to go, oh, okay. So from that day forward,
oh man,
I called Vinny Nadine, and when we played I worked in the Holiday with them. That's how I always called Vinny. Hey Nadine, and our thing, thing in Holiday, in Target was each job we had to bring each other a joke, and I don't know if you realize how hard it is to come up with jokes, but Vinny never disappointed me. He always had a new joke to tell.
Wow.
So it was, and I miss him dearly.
Yeah. I still can't believe he's gone. Like, it doesn't even register.
None of us can.
No. And my brother, too. I'm the oldest brother, and I have to, have the strength and whatever. But so I can't show, because, and again, I grew up with 7 sisters.
Sure.
My poor dad didn't sleep in 30 years with 7 daughters, So I got away with murder because he was so concentrated on the girls. So, Christ, I was 14 years old and hitchhiked to Florida. But, so again, I hope people will come on the 30th.
Yes.
We sold probably over 200 tickets.
Yes.
And we'll make whatever room we have to, but we put a cap on it at 300 for codes.
Yeah. I think it'll be a lot of in and out traffic.
Yeah.
That's what I'm hoping for.
I think it will.
Yes.
You'll have your people that are going to come in the afternoon for the jazz and then come back or
people
come at night
that
for rock and roll.
follow these guys. I mean, these are the big hitters now. These
Absolutely.
Guys, right. So hopefully, and Soul Injection and Mark Sistai and Danny and Gene Volt and guys. I mean, and Lenny Milano. I mean.
Yeah.
So
you got an all-star cast coming through.
Right.
For sure.
And and the other thing I'm going to do is the poster that we have. I'm having one blank, and I'm going to have all you guys sign it.
Perfect. Yeah.
And then, and as well as a card, and I want to put the card in whatever instruments that are going to the schools. Not only it's going to be Play It Forward, it'll be also sponsored by Showtime.
Right.
Oh, cool.
So you guys get recognition. You know what I'm saying?
Like I said, we're incredibly happy to be part of it, really.
Yes.
Honestly.
April 30th, that's the order of the day, people. Go out and get your tickets. Al, really quick, we got a comment on YouTube for you from Mike Chandler. He says hello. He says you're a fantastic musician and man, and to this day you can still hear him tell you to lay it down in a short period of in a short period, he impacted me more than he ever knows. So
I really feel bad about this when they all call up and say, because I feel like I was on them. But
Yeah,
you
yeah.
know,
yeah.
Well,
you were on them like they like
Lay it down.
You know that guy was to you in the
Yeah,
chest.
Mike's a fantastic drummer.
yes, Mike's a great drummer. He's solid as all heck. He's
Yeah.
a great drummer. Solid. Thank you, Mike.
Yeah.
Well, he was worse than like my father on me.
Was he?
Oh my God, yeah. Just lay it down, will you? Don't worry about it.
Evidently, I was bad.
You're a slave driver, you know.
Slave driver. Absolutely.
Well, we got 30 comments on Twitch right now about how you told some people to just lay it down.
Don't play that. Just find a groove. Lay it down. Forget about all them fills and all that crap.
Yeah.
Okay.
Excellent. Well, thanks so much for coming. We got to do this
you.
again, though. I want to do just like a history lesson because you gave us a short history lesson in an hour and a half, and I feel like we didn't even
We need a
scratch
part
the
two.
surface.
We need a part
right,
two.
We need a part two.
Absolutely. Well,
We'll have you come back too with Slivers. You know, we'll get all of
If
us.
I can
You
get
know.
him here.
Yes.
We'll get them here.
That would be great.
Yeah,
it would be
absolutely.
great. Justin, where are you playing this week? You got dates
yes.
you got to plug?
Thursday, I'm playing One Jenny solo. Friday, the trios at Fratello's in Frankfurt, and mark it in your calendar. We have a Saturday night off.
Oh,
Oh,
wow.
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 The only one.
Have you made the transition from Brian to Mike yet?
Actually, this past weekend, we played Vernon Downs with Mike because Ryan got sick.
Okay.
Totally unplanned, so we just kind of we almost treated the gig as if Mike was filling in, so we didn't put any new songs in, nothing like that. We are rehearsing incessantly right now and trying to get him putting some of his songs that he's known for in, and so he's taking the time to learn all of our music. We're taking time to learn some of his music and just kind of mixing it all in. And then on the 22nd, we play the gig. It's Ryan's last night with us, but Mike is also going to come and sing.
Oh, cool.
So we'll have both of them.
Wow.
And then on the 28th at Sharky's will be his first date with us.
Great.
Yep.
Great. And so Mike will be with you on the 30th?
Oh, yeah.
Oh,
Yeah.
great.
Yeah, he'll be there on the 30th. That's like his second gig with us. So, yeah, so it'll be...
So you're learning a bunch of new stuff?
Yeah, I mean, I say a bunch of new stuff. I mean, we're like 2 songs into the new stuff because we're really trying. Like, we had learned, 10 songs with Ryan right before he said he was leaving. So, we're getting him into those 10 songs.
Right.
Because he's already learned all the other stuff. You know what I mean? We're just kind of trying to get harmony parts zeroed in. Because before, when he was filling in, I just look over and go, sing the third. Or I go, take your earbud out. I'm like, and I give him the note, and then he, whatever. But now we can actually get it to where, we're assigning him parts and, doing that whole thing. And we're trying to do it as fast as possible because once Memorial Day hits, we will not see that practice room until wintertime. So.
Yeah, right. You guys get really busy.
That's great that you're that busy. That was a conversation we had. There's so less places to play now.
For sure.
It's tough out there.
It is. And, you were saying that, and we thought back in the 90s we had a ton of places to play, but not compared to when you guys were playing, back in your day. You know what I mean? There were bars on every street corner,
Absolutely.
and you'd find a band or somebody playing in it,
And we were basically on the road, too.
Sure.
In every place you went to, you saw a better band.
Right, and I wish
better
that I could
players.
experience
It's
like
like-
you guys all got to do that thing, like even Target in the beginning when Brian owned Lily Langtrees and stuff.
Right.
Like you wouldn't just show up and play a gig for a night.
No.
You go there for the whole week.
Right.
Yeah.
Or
you
two.
know,
Or
or 2 weeks, right? And I always was like, man, I wish because I came. There might have been like maybe a 10-year difference between when that stopped and when I started playing. Right. But I felt like it was kind of closer for some reason. But I never got to experience that, like going to a Holiday Inn and, setting up for a week and staying in the hotel. And, I've always wanted to do that. I always wish that I had an opportunity to do that. But now we just try to get in wherever we can.
Yeah.
COVID destroyed bands.
Absolutely.
It really completely destroyed bands because, now they're like, oh, well, I could have this solo guy play, for, a couple $100. Why would I have a full band in here when I could have this solo band,
That's what I was saying earlier before you got here.
Sure.
The club owner goes, I got $300, whether 2 guys or 10.
Yeah.
That's what I got. That's what. Yeah.
Yeah, it's changed a lot.
It has changed, yeah. Hence why I'm playing more solo dates. And, what
well,
I
we
love,
said that at the scratch. First of all, if you got into this business for money, you were an idiot.
Oh, sure.
There's no money in it.
No.
Right.
There never was. There never will be.
No.
That's the truth.
It's a labor of love.
And it's a day-to-day struggle if you do it for a living
Right.
like I do. It's
Right.
a day-to-day struggle.
And that's why you do a single, because you're
Sure.
trying to generate enough income to stay floating.
I mean, you do what you love, but you're still hustling at the same time. You're
Yes.
still trying to,
And it became dog-eat-dog in a way. And I was telling Z that when I was young, and if a club owner said to me, geez, I don't have a band next week, I would say, well, call Al Galimi, maybe they're free. Nowadays, nobody says a word because they don't want you in that club because it's one less job they might have.
Yeah, I mean, I guess with our group of guys that we have in our generation, like it started out like that, but it's not like that anymore.
No,
not for us. I mean, like we're offering gigs up to everybody. If we can't do it, they'll be offering to us. Like when Mike was with Simple Props, they were the guys we'd throw, like Last Left, Spencer, and those guys.
Right.
I'm constantly saying call Last Left, here's Spencer. Give them a call. So it's just we're trying to. I think that everybody realized quickly, especially with COVID, that it's going to be hard for all of us. So let's just get together and help each other out.
Going.
Absolutely, 'cause, it's up to us now. I mean, when Anthony and I first started 3 years ago, the first question we would ask, when we actually would ask a question and get done shooting the shit, we'd ask the question, do you guys know of any younger kids that are coming up? And no. Come out of COVID, all of a sudden these bands are coming out of nowhere, There was like 5, 6, 7 bands that we had on the show that we didn't even know existed during COVID.
We didn't even know them personally.
We didn't, right.
Beforehand, we knew everybody personally. If I didn't know them, you knew them, or
exactly.
we both knew them.
Yeah.
And now we're having people on the show
that both of us don't know.
We're meeting them for the first time.
Right.
Yeah, the funny thing, too, was that there's a division or a line. It's like from Utica to Syracuse, everybody knows each other.
Yeah, exactly.
And from Utica to Albany, we hardly know
anybody.
Right.
No, you don't know anybody.
Like why? Like Carl Marucci comes from Dowsville, and
Yeah.
a dear friend of ours who played with my dad, and I knew him because he used to come and see me play when we had Moxie.
Sure.
But all the other people I met, it's like I never knew.
Yeah.
We had bands, and it's like, why? It was like the Iron Curtain.
Right. No, you're absolutely right. Yeah.
So,
See, I feel like that with some like I know a lot of the older guys in Syracuse, but the newer guys are the ones that I have no idea who's coming up to Syracuse now.
Yeah.
Like there's I think the youngest guy I know in Syracuse is Dave King, and he's not that young.
Right.
So you know what I mean. But as far he's more my age than anything. So
He's a monster too.
Oh, he's incredible.
Well, I
Now he's in a country band.
I hope you have the longevity that like Al and I have.
Sure.
had.
Yeah.
He's halfway there already.
I know.
How long have you been doing this? 25 years now, Showtime?
It'll be 30 years next year.
30 years.
Not for Showtime, but for Jose, Joe, and I. We've been together for 30 years next year.
Yeah. That's great. That's
Awesome.
great. Keep
It's
it going,
unheard
brother.
of nowadays. Really.
You're right. Keep it going.
Absolutely.
Awesome. One more thing. April 30th at Twin Ponds. Come on down. How can they get tickets if they're interested?
You could go
Call me.
online.
I have tickets.
Right. He has some.
I got a few. I got a couple more.
Yep.
Okay, you can go online on the Facebook, Play It Forward, the Sal Alberico Fund. You could buy them online, but I'm almost positive we'll have some left at the door.
Mm-hmm.
Or my number is on the poster.
Yep.
The 868-191. You can get. Just call me and I'll get tickets to you.
I love that
whatever.
poster. That came out so good.
Yeah. They did such a good job on it, and Rich did the layout and actually did the logo, and I want to give a shout out to Jackie Warmouth and the program I do at the Citron Home. If anybody has any used fishing equipment, you could donate it to us, and we'll either sell it and get the stuff we need, and this is for the veterans.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, cool.
So, and then I might be calling you for the drum thing. So,
Me?
yes.
Okay.
So what I want to do is maybe have like a bass player and a rhythm player, just to set a groove, and then
Sure.
And this is the therapeutic.
Yeah.
And the main thing is to get a lot of the vets involved in something and get their mind off of certain things. And Jackie Warmouth, I do the program with. She's the vice president of clinical development there at the Citron
that's great.
Healthcare Center. So
Cool. We'll have you come back and promote that.
absolutely,
I think that would be
I'll
great.
get Jackie to come one time too. Whatever.
Awesome. Well, gentlemen, thank you so much for
thank
coming
you.
in. This
Yeah,
has
thank
been a
you, guys.
great
Yes,
conversation
thank you, guys.
/ history lesson. I love it.
I love these. I love these ones.
Me too.
Love it.
Me too. I just sit
It's
here
so
and
funny,
listen.
man. I swear to God, I talked to you guys 100 times, and I still there's stories you told today that I've never heard. So I love it. And
Oh,
every
there's
time
probably
there's different
thousands
stories.
that we still haven't heard. So.
We got to get Al to say something, to swear a little bit more. Though.
If Slivers comes,
He'll swear for all of
provoke
us.
me
Yeah,
because
for sure.
He gets me because Slivers can't remember a lot of it because the conditions he was in.
Sure.
It's me to finish the stories.
Well, I'll tell you real quick.
Yeah.
Brian Marcantonio had found a black pearl floor tom, and he got it for Slivers. And Slivers never used it because it was for his ashtray and his beer bottle.
It was his table,
God.
his coffee table.
Yeah. Oh, God.
True story. So that's the kind of character he is.
Sure.
And I love them dearly.
Yeah.
They're my idols. And L, like, again, he's responsible for half of the people playing in this area. And
I mean, that's why he loves shuffles too. You know, because
Right.
he could
yeah.
he could keep it going and grab a beer.
In the middle of the downstroke, right? I love it.
So thank you again so much, and
No,
I hope
thank you.
people will come out on the 30th and see all you guys and help us out with this. And
They're coming, brother.
I hope-
They're
yeah.
coming. They're coming.
Good.
For sure.
Shout out to EJA Moving Services. Joey's at 307. Utica Coffee, Saranac Brewery, Ballsy. Use promo code members only when you go to ballwash.com. Get yourself a 15% discount. And also big ups to our boy Rick Smith, chilling with the Rick for helping us out. When you going on his show, do you know?
June something.
June something?
He'll yell at me for not remembering,
Yeah,
but
he will, yeah.
I got a lot of dates to remember, brother.
There's
Sorry.
Way too much.
Yeah.
Way too much out there.
Yeah.
So great. Awesome. Great to see you guys. Thank you so much, everybody.
Thank
Have
you.
yourself a good day. Later.
Thank you.